Hi everyone, this is Gary Wilson and welcome to tonight's live webinar for the investor agent for flipping and also for people who are in the buying rentals program, rental profits without the pain, and also flipping for profits without the risk. Many of you who have taken those are also investor agent students. Some of you actually are investors who went on to get your license because you took the rental profits program and saw the value in getting your license, so kudos to you. Tonight what we're going to do is we're going to continue in the marketing series. We've been on this for a little over a month now. For those of you who are brand new, the subject matter on these webinars is usually dictated by you, the students. You just tell me in emails, text messages, what have you, what you'd like to cover, and we do that, and we try to keep it to one specific subject on any given webinar. And the reason is we dig in a lot of detail. Again, these are recorded, so you can get the recording the next day and rewatch it or strip off the audio and re-listen to it in your car if you'd like, while you're driving. And again, for those of you who are relatively new, if you go back to the beginning, beginning of the year, actually the week between Christmas and New Year's, we went into the first couple of modules, which were the basics, modules 1 and 2. I don't think we spent any time in module 3 yet. Everything I've been doing since the end of January through February has been all in module 4, which is all the marketing. And so if you're looking for, how come we're not going into module 1, it's because these webinars are designed to cater to you, the students, based on what your needs and wants are. And you can re-listen to those old webinars anytime. You have access to them on the website. So in any case, moving on here, we've gone over the booklet, we've gone over the letter, we've gone over the workshop, and was there something else we went over? I can't remember. But in any case, I'm going to go over a couple of new techniques tonight. Some of you may not have seen these yet, and some of you have been around a while, and some of you have been around for about a year. You've seen some of these, okay? But when we don't cover these in a while, I like to go over them because they're valuable tools that can be used to complement what you're already doing. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. First things first, when it comes to joining local investor clubs, as many of you know, have been a member of RIA for years. I used to be a member of ACRE. I still might be a member because I might be grandfathered in because that goes way back to the 1980s when ACRE was big, American Congress of Real Estate. RIA is the big kahuna right now, Real Estate Investor Association. Okay. Of America, by the way. They've simply taken over the landscape when it comes to investor clubs. They're local, and they have a national affiliation. They're all essentially the same, excuse me, same basic format. And I'm not advocating their format. That's not what I'm here to tell you about tonight. I'm going to tell you tonight a little bit about how to actually leverage your local investor clubs, why you should belong to them, and it's maybe not what you necessarily think. Okay? So first things first, you can locate these guys online. Just simply Google RIA in your area. Like right now, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and I know there's a RIA club here, okay? In fact, there might be a couple of them. I know in other parts of the country, Chicago, Orlando, there's multiple RIA groups and still some ACRE groups around. Okay, there's an ACRE group in Pittsburgh. There's an ACRE group in Albuquerque. Okay, if you're in the Albuquerque group here. Matter of fact, one of your fellow agents, Mark Richter, belongs to the ACRE group there. He's from Albuquerque, and he's an awesome dude, does a pretty good business when it comes to investing, and he's an agent, of course. In any case, what I would suggest is this. So go ahead and start taking notes. I highly encourage you to join your local investor club. If there's multiple clubs, go to each of them as a guest and see which one you feel most comfortable with. You can belong to multiple clubs if you want to, but it's really not necessary. The reason is you're not really looking to get investor clients from these clubs. You can get some, and I want to explain to you how to do that. But for the most part, these clubs are chock full of your no money down FSBO guys. They do have some seasoned veterans in these clubs, and oftentimes they're on they're like a board member. They're on the board of these clubs, okay? And they own hundreds of units, okay? They know a lot about how to invest, and they've done all the different techniques, no money down, as well as putting your own money down, which is what I advocate, okay? But there's some big reasons why you do want to join these clubs. And number one, first and foremost, is you can get a lot of good references on contractors. Okay, plumbers, electricians, roofers, flooring people, homeowners insurance, even housing and home inspectors. Okay, and so what's the reason is usually your clients are going to start to ask you, and hey, who can I use to replace my boiler? Who can I use to replace my water tank, my furnace, my windows, what have you? And as long as you're a member of these clubs, you can always check around with all the other investors in the club and ask them, hey, who do you use and who would you recommend? And look for the names to pop up multiple times. And you want to try to get at least 3 of them, if not more. If you can only get 2 names to pop up repeatedly, in a positive light, by all means, you want to just use those 2 names. Whenever you get a lot of derogatory remarks, obviously, you don't want to speak poorly of those folks because you shouldn't be doing that, and you can get yourself in trouble. But the ones that come in with high grades, by all means, you can speak positively about those folks, and more importantly, you can recommend them to your investor clients. Now, what you do is this. This is very important. You don't want to do a what's called a referral or a reference, okay, because you're not going to make money by referring a plumber. What you want to do is you want to say, yeah, this was a recommendation based on feedback I've heard from other investors in the area. And here's the guys I've heard good feedback on. So you're recommending, you're not referring. That there's a critical difference there. It's actually a legal difference. Okay? So you just tell them, hey, these are the guys I've heard about. I can't give you firsthand experience or firsthand knowledge. However, here's their contact information. Please check them out yourself. Call them up. You know that they come recommended from other investors, but ask them to see maybe pictures of their work that they've done, particularly if they're remodelers. Okay, that's the one thing you want to write down. Another thing to write down is ask them if they have, if they're insured, and oftentimes they need to be bonded, or they should be bonded also, like electricians. They should be bonded. That's just one example. Okay, if they are, typically they're going to be pretty good people. They do a pretty good job. You obviously want to make sure they have their own transportation and tools. You'd be shocked at how many people don't. That should be a foregone conclusion, but you want to make sure they have that. You also, if they can give you an example of their fee structure, that would be great. Most of them won't really do that because it's a job-by-job kind of thing. All right. Also, ask them for references. Okay. Ask the contractors for references. The more that they're willing to give you, the better off. If they hold back on anything, that can be a possibly a red flag, But I always like to see samples of the work, Any case, that's one thing about these clubs. All right. Another thing is, you can also align yourself with other vendors, like homeowners insurance guys, like particularly lenders. You want to work with lenders who are investor friendly, okay? Because remember, investors aren't doing FHA underwritten loans. They don't like them. FHA will let you buy an investor property up to 4 units, and they'll let you buy 4 of them or 10 of them depending on where you are. But that's a restriction. Investors don't want restrictions. They like commercial loans, conventional loans, where the only restriction is the bank's what they call the loan-to-one ratio. They can only loan so much money to any one person or any one entity. Okay, but you want to find lenders who will offer conventional loans, commercial loans, things like that. Okay. By the way, you can also work with the vendors on joint ventures, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So hang on to your seats on that. Okay. But here's the third thing. I always suggest that you're not really going to get a lot of good investors from the investor clubs. You'll get a lot of them, but you're going to get a lot of people who are, broke or trying to make a bunch of offers on a few properties that are 50% off list price offers, and those are very frustrating. Not only do they very seldom work, but they chew up an awful lot of time for you and your client. However, here's the kind of investor you want to look for. All right, you want to position yourself differently. You want to make sure the people in the club know that you're trained. You've gone through a training program, and when you're all done, you're actually a certified investor agent. Okay, and the type of people you're looking for in the clubs are the brand new investors who haven't been conditioned yet to treat us like a commodity, or they haven't been sold down the river on all the no money down owner financing type deals. Okay, again, I'm not saying they don't work. They can work. It just they don't work a lot, and they don't work very well, and they take up a lot of people's time. So what you want to do is find the people who've tried some of those techniques and are frustrated. They'll tell you, hey, let's say I've made 100 offers and nobody wants to do owner financing, or nobody wants to accept my offer because they're too cheap and too low. What you want to do is use that as an opportunity to talk to them and say, look, you know what? There is another way to invest that's actually better. Mathematically, you can demonstrate over time where putting your own money down on a property will actually result in, number one, obviously a greater equity position, but you can typically get a better deal. You get more offers accepted, and you can get better financing on the remainder of your purchase. So if you put down 25%, lenders love lending money on properties that are good properties, but also more importantly, where the buyer is putting down 20, 25, 30%. Okay. So people who hear that, and they'll say, well, how can they keep going? If they're putting down money on properties, aren't they going to run out of money? Not necessarily, because there's other creative ways to find the money. Okay. We go over that actually in module 1 of the training program. So I won't go over all those details here. But in any case, back to the type of investor that you're looking for in the investor clubs. If you choose to find investors in investor clubs, look for the people, again, who are new and need guidance. And if you're not a very patient person, then look for the ones who have tried that stuff, tried all those other techniques, and are frustrated. Or maybe they've invested, but they made a mistake. Maybe they didn't make money, or they had trouble. Whatever the case is, if you can determine that they have a pain point relative to investing, and more specifically relative to other techniques they've learned, that's your opportunity to get somebody who's ambitious and motivated and is willing to try something that's going to work a little bit better. Okay? So keep that in mind and write that down. You definitely want to show up on a regular basis. They only meet once a month, so that's only one evening a month. And I'll give you a real big tip. Okay? Usually those meetings are broken up into 2 parts. They'll meet for an hour, and then they'll have a 15-minute break or half-hour break, whatever, for networking and socializing. And then they'll have an additional hour. Now, what I used to do is I'd stay for the whole darn thing, only to recognize at the end of that second hour, most people wanted to get the heck out of there. Only a few people would hang around. And yet, at the intermission, everybody was hanging around socializing. So what I would do is I'd come a little bit early to socialize, meet people. I'd stay for the first part, and oftentimes they'll let you come up and speak for 60 seconds about what you do. And then at the intermission, I would stay and socialize and network. But as soon as they start the second half, and I know people are going to laugh at this, but I would leave. I would leave when the second half was starting, because I realized I'm there to network and socialize and get contacts. And at the second part of the meeting, everybody's in the big room listening to the speaker, and there's no way to socialize or network very easily, that is. And at the end of the night, it was slim pickings, so I would just leave after halftime and go home and spend time with my family. All right? All right, one more thing on investor clubs, and then we're going to move on. What you might want to do is, you're going to sign up for this club. You can sign up either as an investor or a vendor. When you first sign up as an investor if you want, just to get the lay of the land, see how things work. But don't wait too long before you register or change your membership to that of a vendor, because then you can set up your own table. Okay, there's usually a common area where you can set up a table and you can promote yourself. You can bring in your material, which is going to be different than everybody else's material, because everybody else is going to have the glossy postcards and things like that say I'm number one and me and all that. You're going to show up with samples of properties. Okay, you're going to show up with some of the worksheets and the tools and the calculators. And as people come up to you, instead of just talking, say, hey, look, let me show you what this is like, and demonstrate with them what you're doing. Now that's later on, guys. You don't have to become a vendor right out of the gate. Get comfortable first. But then once you do that, you'll get a lot of the newbies coming up to you, and a lot of the people who tried it and then failed, wanting to learn something new. And so you can actually get some decent investors out of these clubs. You just have to do it the right way. Okay? All right, now let me do a quick pause here and check for questions before I move on to the next subject. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in if you haven't, and I'm going to check them out. So hang on one second. Okay, let's see. Well, we've got a lot of people on here. Okay, let's see. There's all right, this is from Steve. Hi, Steve. Steve says, once investors listen to techniques offer, why do they need me? Well, the big reason is, Steve, because you've got the license, okay? Remember, if you've already worked with investors in the past, like from going to the clubs, unfortunately, you've experienced the way that almost everyone else is doing it, because they're traditional agents and they're trying to apply traditional techniques. And they've also been accustomed to work with investors who are already conditioned to treat you like a commodity. That's why I strongly advocate working with new investors, okay, that you can instruct and guide the right way, or other investors who tried and failed, okay, and they're more inclined to do things your way. So they still need you. You're the one that's going to be offering them all the tools and techniques for how to do this stuff, okay? I'm not talking about the marketing techniques. I'm talking about how do you determine what is a good rental, what is a good flip. I can teach you that very quickly. Matter of fact, Module 2 covers it all. So when it comes to your investors, you want to build those relationships from scratch and build loyalty, because you're the one who's actually showing them this stuff the right way. And most human beings are going to be loyal to the person who actually helped them build wealth and income. So I hope that helps answer your question. But the bottom line is, if you're working with people who are abusing your relationship, you need to stop working with them. You're more worthy than that. You deserve more respect. And quite frankly, if you follow all the techniques in Module 4 to get the right clients, you'll have much better long-term relationships. I was teaching a class yesterday, and where was I? Was it yesterday? Yes, I was down in Tucson. And there were 4 people in the class that were just nodding their heads up and down because they had done what I had taught them to do. And they realized there was a huge difference between doing it this way and doing it the old way, where you go to the clubs and you'll take anybody that comes your way. Oftentimes you're going to get frustrated. In fact, most times you'll get frustrated that way. Let's see. This is Grace. Grace says, what is the book you are using now? I'm not sure what you mean, Grace. What book am I using now? Are you referring to the books I've written, or the books I use for marketing to prospective clients? Because I just have the one booklet. Now it's modified over the years. The one that I use to, I teach you guys to use to go and send it out to the local professional and or business owners, like chiropractors and dentists. That booklet everybody has in their material. The books I've written to teach, you guys actually all have access to them on the website. Everybody's got the free, the electronic version of Investor Agent. But I will tell you guys, if you want the other books, if you want Rental Profits Without the Pain, if you want Flipping for Profit Without the Risk, the one on property management, which we call Turning Rental Problems into Real Estate Profits, that's actually in editing now. I mean, you can have the draft version if you want. Also wholesaling, so everybody wins. You can have the draft version of that. That's not going to editing and publication until later in the year. But you can have those and give them to your clients. In fact, I will tell you this. I know Tammy Kaysen's on. I'm not sure, Tammy, if Ken's on. For those of you who are listening, they're doing the classroom scenario. That's one of the advanced techniques. So once you've all done your workshop, you're eligible to learn the classroom technique, and I'll walk you through how to do that. A little bit more involved, a lot more detail, but boy, is it a powerful marketing tool to attract. So Steve, you might want to use the classroom, buddy. We have an agent up in Northern Virginia, Kauza is his name, He does a monthly workshop. He gets 600 people there every single month. Mine, I was getting 200 people, and I would get between 6 and 8 transactions every month from that one technique. That's before I learned to create niche groups or affinity groups. So in any case, highly recommend that, Steve, because what happens is when you go from what I'm talking about here to creating your own workshop, then you control who gets in, okay? You can create your own niche, and also no other agents will be part of that group. You're the only agent. So you create loyalty. It's just amazing, that they're long-term relationships. In any case, back to the subject here. What I was getting to, so Tammy, make sure you remind me of this. Just tell Beverly, call me, email me, whatever. I will make sure we give you at least the electronic version of flipping for profits without the risk, and rental profits without the pain. They're done with editing and publication, so you can get those, and we will give them to you. I think we can still give them to you for free right now. If not, you can get them for like $5. I mean, literally dirt cheap, and hand those out to your clients, and then they will learn from you the way we teach it. So awesome way to get business, guys. In any case, back to the subject for tonight. Let me make sure we got through the questions here. Grace says the book for this class. Yeah, this is so Grace. This is we're in module 4 tonight. So if you look at module 4 of what you got from Beverly when you first sign on, this is where you're going to find this information we're going over tonight. And I apologize, you're right, I should have mentioned that right out of the gate. Okay, this is Wesley. Wesley says, side question, who do you use for credit repair? There's a guy, there's all kinds of people that do that, Wesley. It depends on where you are in the country. I can tell you that the guy I used myself several years ago for all of my clients when I was local, when I was basically geographically bound, the company was called CIS, and they're out of Pittsburgh. So if you Google that, you can find them. The guy that runs it is an absolute pro, and I've seen him work miracles of people. Let's just see if we can find this. Hang on one second. Let's go here. CIS Pittsburgh. Let's try that. I think maybe it's CSI. I thought it was CIS. Let's try CSI. Sorry. CSI. Let's try that. CSI. I think that might be it. CSI Pittsburgh chapter holding the Mid-Atlantic Region Conference. No, that's not it. What we're looking for is credit repair. Corporate investigations, that's not it. Well, looks like I'm taking too much time here, but that group was a very good group, Wesley. I don't know that they work nationally, but you can certainly look them up and call them. If I can find the information, I will have Beverly put that out in the email. But again, if you go to the Investor Club, Steve, another example that they're going to have a couple of vendors there that provide that service, and you want to kind of check them out, ask for references, and also ask other investors who they've used, okay, and other agents too, by the way. Okay, let's move on here. Right, next thing is this, churches. So let me reduce the panel here, and I'm going to have to scroll down. Oops, did I go too far? By the way, we're going to do Craigslist next week. We will do Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter the week after. But what I want to go over now is churches. And a lot of people totally ignore churches as a way of marketing yourself. Now, if you do belong to a church, synagogue, mosque, whichever the case may be, most cases they'll have a church bulletin that comes out every week with the service, whether it's a Saturday service or a Sunday service. And in the bulletin, you're going to see multiple advertisers, including realtors. And if you look at those realtor bulletins, you're going to see they're all the same. You know, Jane Doe, #1 realtor in the neighborhood, 10 years running, blah, 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 blah. People get so tired of seeing that crap, it doesn't do anything for them, okay? And I apologize if I just ruffled any feathers. And the truth is, you can get some deals from that, because if you're an established church member and everybody knows you, they're all going to know you got your license. That works okay for the traditional client. But if you're looking to drum up some investor business, okay, you have to get more creative, and you have to differentiate yourself in your write-ups, whatever it is you're putting in your ad there. So you don't want to say things like, you know, Caldwell Banker, Remax, Keller Williams, whichever firm you're with. You have to put that in the ad, of course, because you have to disclose that. But you don't want to talk about, you know, #1 agent, sold the most homes, blah, 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 blah. So many people say that stuff, nobody knows who to know who's #1, right? So what you do to separate yourself is offer something, put something in there, okay, and actually put the link, put the URL. So in other words, free search for homes, okay, www, boom, and put it in there. And if you're using your broker's website with your attachment, your extension, excuse me, that's fine, but that's going to be usually pretty lengthy. What you want to do is, and write this down, go get what's called a tiny URL, TINY, just Google it, tiny URL, and they'll take any link you have, any URL that's long and awkward, and shrink it down and make a very short one. And you can put that in your ad. Free search for homes, visit www, you know, .tinyurl, whatever it's going to be. You can also offer, and a lot of people do this, offer free valuation. What they don't do is they don't put in a link in there. They'll put in a free home evaluation. You know, call me, whatever, come visit me at the office, all that kind of stuff. Or they give you your email address, or their email address, excuse me. Again, you want to give them a place to go to that's non-salesy, non-threatening. So give them your web page that allows them to type in their home's information to get a free evaluation. Okay. Now you know, right away, just using those two techniques, guys, you're going to differentiate yourself typically from most other agents advertising in a church bulletin. But here's the real kahuna. Remember, you're focusing on the investor. Through this program, you're focusing on working with the investor. So what you want to say is something like this. Curious about investing in real estate? Click here for sample of available properties, or click here for a free report on how to analyze a rental, or click here, you know, visit www to get free forms and calculators. Okay, give them something. In other words, remember, and when you bought the program, one of the things we tell you is we don't just give you this stuff to keep to yourself. We give it to you to give to your clients. So by all means, give it to them. So in your church bulletin, here's an example. You could say, you know, obviously put your name, your contact information, because you're required to, and say this. Curious about investing, or have you invested before and it didn't work out? Visit www for free forms and calculators, okay? Or, you know, free search of investment properties. Give them something that they need to go and do, okay, other than call you. I promise you're going to get better results, all right? You can also offer them the opportunity to put an ad out. Let's say, and you know, this is kind of a tricky thing here. Let's say you want to get some listings, okay? And just like FSBOs, owner occupants who want to sell by themselves, some investors want to do the same thing. What you can do is say, look, you have an investment property you'd like to sell, but not sure how to go about it, or you want to do it yourself. Visit www, and on one of your pages on your website, offer them a couple of free things they can do to help them sell the property. Show them how to do a Craigslist ad. Show them how to do a postlets. If you have your own private site, you know, there's a lot of things you can do, but the bottom line is there are a number of ways you can use the church bulletin to drum up investor business if you just think outside the box and differentiate yourself from other people. And I just gave you 2 or 3 good ideas. So let me, before I move on here, let me bring my panel back over and look for questions on how to use a church bulletin. Excuse me. Let's see. Susan. Susan says, how do I get Module 4 if I'm new? Okay. Susan, we get that a lot. The way Digital Chalk is designed, you do have to go through the prior 3 modules first. Unfortunately, it's a product feature. It's a restriction that we can't overcome. It's designed for you to take a full week to learn the material and whatever module you're on, and repeat it, review it, and actually practice it. So in Module 2, for example, when you get to that, which if you're already in, you're going to get Module 2 very quickly here. Practice the calculators. Practice using the cash flow worksheet, the Excel spreadsheet for what we call the opportunity evaluator. Practice using some of the rehab forms. Go out there and actually practice. Because when you do that, then you're going to know how they work, not just intellectually, but also experientially. And we want to give you a week between modules before you jump into the next module. So don't worry about not having Module 4 right now. Believe me, by the time you get Module 4, you're going to be ready and rocking and rolling and ready to go. So I can't wait to hear from you when you get to Module 4. So in any case, let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, so far so good. So let's see what next year we have. I think I want to go over grocery stores and restaurants. If I can get to both of those, that would be a good night. Yeah, investor clubs, churches, grocery stores, and restaurants. All very simple techniques. Again, it's just a matter of you executing, and much of this is very low cost or free. Grocery stores is next, okay? Again, here's another opportunity to use something that a lot of people have used for free, but they're always using it for traditional transactions, which you can do, okay? But here's how you differentiate yourself. A couple things, all right? Let me reduce my panel here so I can see the whole screen. Okay, first things first. Whenever you create a bulletin and to put on a bulletin board, you go through your grocery store, you'll see there's a whole bunch of them up there, people offering guitar lessons and babysitting and grass cutting and dog watching, all kinds of stuff, all right? And yes, you'll see people offering homes for sale, homes for rent, and the Realtor is putting their stuff up there too, all their traditional Realtors. All right, here's what you want to do. I learned this almost by accident, okay? This is just an example. Let's say you have a dog and you like playing Frisbee. Let's say you live at the beach, which is going to be about 1/3 of you guys, okay? Get a picture of you playing Frisbee with your dog. Or if you don't, get a picture online. Just Google free pic of dog playing Frisbee, okay? And then when you create your bulletin, put something like that on there. It's an attention getter. It catches people's eye. You know, if everybody's putting stuff on the bulletin board that has those tear-off phone numbers, and they all look the same, and they have, you know, something that was done on Word or even handwritten, Lord help them. But yours is going to have a photo of something that's going to catch people's eye, particularly dog lovers, all right? Everybody likes a picture of a dog playing Frisbee, all right? That's the first part. In any case, the next thing is don't put a whole bunch of writing in there. You don't want to do a whole bunch of typing or writing or what have you, all right? Real simple, real basic, one sentence, typically 6 or fewer words. I like the one that says, learn to invest for free. And I can tell you I've tried it myself, and it works, okay? If you put too much wording on that ad, they're going to blow right by it. And okay, and if you keep it nice and simple, you will catch a few people. And what you can do is nowadays the old style was put some tear-offs on there. So you'd have your bulletin, and at the bottom you'd have you'd use scissors to cut up and create tabs. On each tab you'd put your phone number. That's old school. We don't need to do that now, because guess what everybody has in their pocket? That's right, they got a cell phone that can take pictures. So just put your ad on there and make sure that your email address and your phone number stands out loud and clear, okay? In fact, if you put a photo, if your backing is a photo of a dog playing Frisbee, typically you'll have some grass as a background. The dog might be a brown. You might have a picture. The ocean might be there, which is going to be kind of dark blue. So if that's the case, what you do is wherever you have a portion of the bulletin that's colored, like the sky is blue, then put your email address and your phone number in white letters. Okay. Now, if the background is very light, like the color of sand or what have you, then obviously you want to use like black letters. Black will stand out against almost anything. Okay. But if you use white for your phone number and your email address against a blue background, it really stands out. Okay. I mean, that's just one example of the wording or an offer. Learn to invest for free, and they take a picture of it and they go to check it out. And if you have a landing page, your own website, which you should, matter of fact, we're going to cover that in 3 weeks. Then give them the website address and have a landing page that basically promotes your next investor workshop. Okay. So in any case, you can also offer them, you don't even have to do a workshop. You can offer them, again, free reports, free calculators, free analysis tools, all in your material that you got. Every one of you has access to all of our blogs or the articles we've written. And again, you can even offer them electronic versions of our books if you want. So the bottom line is you want to get their attention. You can change it around. You can say something like, instead of learn to invest for free, say something like free list of local foreclosures, free list of local duplexes, free list of local 4-unit buildings, whatever, something different, something that'll stand out. Okay. I just learned over the years, when I said this, learn to invest for free, I got a lot of calls. Okay. All right. That's grocery stores. Let me pull my panel over and look for questions there. Actually, if you've ever used these techniques, guys, chime in. Give me some feedback, okay? Okay, Linda says, hi, Gary. How do you disclose that you're a realtor on the tear-off tabs? Yeah, that's why, Linda, I don't like the tear-off tabs. I would rather just put my bulletin up there and make sure that my phone number, email address stands out, and so they can just take a picture of it with their cell phone. You do have to disclose. You've absolutely got to put. So what I would do at the very bottom, like where there's grass or sand, if it's a beach or what have you, there you've got to just put in your broker's name, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, what have you, the address, okay, and you also have to put the broker's main phone number there too. Unfortunately, you've got to do that. The phone number can be really small print though. The name of your broker typically has to be as large or bigger than your name to meet most state compliance rules. You've also, in some states, you got to put down there each office independently owned and operated. All right, just squeeze it in the small print. Always put that at the bottom, because you know why? People generally will ignore it because they recognize it as being the small print. Okay, what they're focusing on is a dog playing frisbee and learn to invest for free, and your phone number and email address and your website. But good question, so I appreciate that. Let's see. I think we're okay on questions so far. Oops. Yeah, I think we're okay on questions. All right, let's talk about restaurants. This is another one of my old-time favorites. And again, these aren't things that I did all the time, guys. But I did them. What I would do is I would do them for a while, and then when the results would start to taper off, I would stop and move on to a different technique. Because if you're going to the same grocery store over and over again, and you have the bulletin up there, your call rate is going to drop over time, because it's the same patrons, and they're used to seeing the same bulletin. They've already seen it before. They already took a picture of it. So you can move to a different grocery store if you want, but my thing is I would try a different technique, which is an example here, another one that I call the restaurant technique. And let me describe that to you real quick, okay? And we're doing good on time too, by the way. So if you do have questions, let's see. We do have a question here. Hang on one second. Wesley. So Wesley says, okay, do you end up with lots of interested ones who have no money or credit? So Wesley, I think you're talking about back to the investor clubs, or maybe in general. Let's just treat this as a general question. Excellent question, because I get that a lot. When you go to the investor clubs, you definitely have to differentiate yourself, because if you don't, all the people that are going to look at you as just another agent. Okay, because a lot of agents, they don't know what to do, so they try to do everything they can, and they join the club, so they don't know anything about investing, and they take every Tom, Dick, and Harry that come along, and a lot of those guys will have no money or poor credit. And I don't work with those guys. So what I do is I interview them. I interview every prospective client, and this is really important, Wesley and everyone else on the call. No matter what marketing techniques you use to get attention, those are only designed to get you an introduction. You still have to build a relationship, and it all starts with the initial interview. So in the interview, Wesley, once I've determined what their objectives are, they either want to buy flips or they want to buy rentals or whatever the case is, I try to get them to focus. Because if I get an investor that says, I don't know, I just want to make money, I'm new at this and I don't know what to do, well, what I would do is start asking them more specific questions like, okay, what if you did a flip and the flip didn't sell in 3 months like you wanted it to? Let's say it took 6 months or 9 months. How would you feel about that? Would that really knock you out of the game? Would that cause you significant financial stress? Ask them those questions. Get real with them. Get real and specific. And I'd ask them on rentals. Okay, rentals, obviously a great long-term wealth and income building technique. However, it's also a human relations business. So are you comfortable coughing up 10% for property management? Are you willing to do that? And if not, and you end up managing your properties yourself, how are you going to feel if you're faced with evicting a tenant who lost her job and her husband left her, or a tenant who is single and he just discovered that he has to go in for surgery when we got to be out of work for 3 months, or he had a horrible car accident and they're not paying the rent? Are you going to be able to be a business person, or are you going to be a charitable cause, nonprofit? We call you nonprofit. Those are the kind of questions you want to ask these guys, because that's going to tell you a lot about them, and maybe they're not really cut out to invest. Or they'll say, you know what, you're right. I would rather work with the rental guys because I know in my church we help people who are down on the luck, or I know I can help somebody I'll take the time to help them move into assisted living if they can't afford my apartment. And that's how I can be the compassionate human being, but also the good business person. When they have answers like that, Wesley and everyone else, now you know you got yourself an investor, okay? And it'll help you determine what they should be doing first, flipping versus renting. I know for me, economically speaking right now, I'm encouraging people to buy rentals. I'm not saying you can't flip, but I can tell you right now it's going to be easier to get the rentals, number one, and number two is it's a better long-term prospect, not just life cycle, but in the next few years. We know that rental valuations are on the upswing, and also rents themselves are on the upswing. And when the economy turns, and you got a flip on your hands, and all of a sudden days on market goes to 270 days. Well, that's a killer for flippers, all right? And we're actually in an economic dip right now in most parts of the country. So, in any case, back to the subject here. That was a question from Wesley. The answer is that, Wesley, I don't work with them. I interview them first, and if they have no money, no credit, I'm surely not going to spend time with them. All right. There's plenty of techniques you can use, like the booklet, for example, to cater to the chiropractors and dentists, where you get better qualified people who do have money. Or you can create your own niche group in a workshop. So if I knew what your niche was, like what your background was, I would help you create a niche group. And we will focus on that niche group, okay? In any case, back to the restaurants. This is one of my old-time favorites. Let me give you some examples here. Here's one thing I used to do. I used to start with this technique when I worked with restaurateurs. I would always go to restaurants where I either knew the owner or I knew the waitresses, because I was a patron of theirs on a regular basis. I would go in, they were used to seeing me, and they recognized my face. And what I would ask is this. I would say, look, I'm a realtor. I work with investors, which means I have a lot of clients who are repeat clients, and they're buying properties in this area. They're renting them or they're selling them because they're flipping them. In either case, I've got another client, in the case of a flipper, who's going to buy the home new to the area, and they're going to be looking for recommendations for local restaurants. In the case of a rental, this guy's going to be getting new tenants in there who are going to be wondering, hey, where do I go eat supper? So here's my proposition. I would love to help these guys out. In order to do that, I would like to work with you on an offering. Would you be willing to offer a coupon where these new people to the neighborhood could get buy a meal and get one free, or buy a meal and get a free dessert, or buy a meal and get a free drink, or maybe a punch card system where if they buy 5 meals, they get one free, or if they buy 10 meals, they get one free, whatever the case is, most restaurateurs are willing to entertain that to a degree. Okay, you've got to prove that this is going to bring them business. So in the case of working with investors, I can pretty much assure them I can get them a lot of repeat business, because remember, owner occupants only buy once. Investors buy multiple times. And if they're investing in the area, what you can do is you give these coupons or these punch cards to your investor, all right, and have them give the coupons to the people buying their home when they're flipping and the tenants renting their home when they're renting. So your investor now has a hook in not just to the restaurant, but you've done them a huge favor. You gave them something that's marketable, something that's valuable, something that has monetary value that, number one, they can, of course, use themselves, take their kids out and their wife and get one meal for free, for example. But more importantly, use that when they're to put in their property when they're selling their property, or they can have you do it. In the case of rentals, they can use it to reward you tenants for signing on with them. Also, here's another one. This is something you want to suggest to your investors. Have them use these coupons to give to their existing tenants, the good tenants, and have them refer new tenants to them. If they have vacancies, one of the best sources of a good tenant is an existing tenant who is also a good tenant. So I want to let that sink in for a second there, because I just said a lot. So again, you can get these coupons because you're the service provider. Get them in your investors' hands. Have them offer them to tenants, their current and existing tenants, as a reward for bringing in other prospective tenants. Remember, birds of a feather flock together. So good tenants will often refer other good prospective tenants. All right, that's one way to use restaurants. Here's another way. They all have placemats in there. Okay, and while I'm not a big fan of using placemats for traditional marketing, although it does work, because every time you sit down and you see, the tow truck driver, the banker, the chiropractor, they all have their stuff on this placemat, and you'll see the typical traditional realtor saying, "Hey, I'm Jane Smith. I'm a realtor in the area. I'm number one. I've sold more homes than anybody. Blah 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 blah." It's all about me, and it's not about the person reading it. So don't do that. What I suggest you do is this. Put something on there like you do on the bulletin on the grocery store or in the church bulletin. In your little block that you pay for, and they're very inexpensive, by the way, give the reader something to do. So they sit down, they order their meal, they're waiting for the meal, they look at the placemat, and they see your ad. It says, hey, learn to invest for free. Visit www, whatever the case is. Or hey, get a free list of foreclosures. Visit, whatever your page is. Or you could also, again, offer a free property valuation. You could say, if you have an investment property that you wish you could sell, get a free no obligation valuation. I specialize in investment properties. Okay, that's a little bit wordy, but you get the theme. You want to offer a free valuation, but focus on investors. Okay, stand out from the crowd. And one of the most popular ones is free search of property. So search investment properties for free in your area. Visit www. Okay, that's the second big way to use the restaurateurs, and it's one of my favorites because it's very inexpensive, and you can actually couple that with the prior technique I just gave you. So in other words, you're giving this guy money to put your ad on his placemat, and you're also offering him a way to drive in additional business by using the coupon. get a free dessert, a punch card kind of thing, that guy will love you, all right? And by the way, who do you think he's going to recommend when people come in talking about that? Hey, we're new to the area. Who do you recommend? Oh, you got to use Wesley. You'll see he's got an ad on a paper on the placemat over there. He's really good at what he does, and he brings in a lot of business, so I know he's good. Okay. So I love that technique. Hey, real quick, guys, I want to go back to the grocery store method real quick, because I forgot to go over one thing there. We talked about the use of bulletins on the bulletin boards, and that's a wonderful thing. But you're going to notice other bulletins on those bulletin boards, okay? You're going to see people trying to sell their homes for free, or I'm sorry, sell them homes by themselves, for sale by owner, FSBO. You also will see people advertising their rentals, okay? And they're giving you their contact information. Now, you have to be careful with this, okay? Because what I'm going to suggest could be construed as soliciting. But the reality is you're trying to help these people. So, if they advertise a property for sale, they're obviously going to give you the address, a picture of it and the address and some basic information. What you can do is approach them. If you don't want to approach them directly, create a little flyer or a little booklet, take it to the property, leave it in the storm door. Don't put it in the mailbox. You're not allowed to do that. But what you can say is, I understand your house is for sale. You're selling your house yourself. I'm not suggesting you use me as your realtor. However, I do represent a lot of investors, and some of them are cash buyers, and your house may be ideal as an investment sale, as long as the price is suitable to you. Please give me a call. I'll be glad to give you more information, all right? And you can give them maybe a list of your buyers, last name only, all right? Something like that. Don't use first and last name, just last name only. I've done that before. You can also give them a sample. Go to your MLS system, guys. Find a property that's sold in the area, okay? And give them the list price and the sold price, because it's public information once it sells, to show them what's possible for a property that's similar to theirs, all right? Another thing you can do is this. You can go out there and, if you can find other properties that are for sale by owner, which are easy to find, you just go to your local publication and you'll find plenty of people advertising there. See if you can find out by going to your county tax assessment website and see how many of those actually sold by owner, and then see how many actually sold by a realtor. And I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised. Most houses, of course, are sold by realtors, vast majority. You can use that in your information, and don't just tell them it, show them it. Say, look, here's a list of properties that people were trying to sell themselves, and here's the ones that actually sold, and look, they actually were sold by a realtor. So you're planting the seed in their mind that maybe they should use you, okay? And you're not doing it in such a way, you're not trying to sell yourself. You're demonstrating what actually happens when other people have tried to sell themselves. You follow what I'm saying? So let me check for questions here, because I just gave you another handful there. Let's see. Great advice. Thank you. You're very welcome. So in the last technique, guys, I want to make sure you understood what I was going after there. On those bulletin boards, if you're going to use them, look and see who else is using them. Get their information. Perhaps you can help them too. The people who have properties up there for rent, you could also offer your services as a property manager, or you could find out, maybe they're in distress. A lot of times people who are renting an apartment or a house are renting it because something happened. That's sitting there empty. It's not bringing in money. They might be more motivated to sell than people whose homes are already occupied. That's what I was getting at. Okay, not to mention the for sale by owner. So that was the additional piece when it comes to the grocery stores. Okay, it is the clock just clicked over to 8, and I'm kind of hesitant to go any further. Because the next set of techniques the next technique will take a few more minutes to describe, and I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4 tonight, and that's a lot. That's a lot to digest. So you're going to have to re-listen to this webinar, replay it, take some notes, and what I want to ask you guys to do is roll up your sleeves, put the iron in the fire and pick one of these that you think you can see yourself using easily, and use it to complement some other technique that you're using. Like, I know if you're doing a workshop, you can obviously dovetail in the bulletin board technique in a grocery store to supplement your workshop effort. You follow what I'm saying? So always think outside the box. How can you use these in conjunction with each other to support each other? These techniques will basically support each other if used properly together. I just gave you one example there. If you want to put on a classroom like Ken and Tammy, you absolutely can use the restaurant placemat, you can use your church bulletin, and you can use the grocery store bulletin, all to learn how to invest for free. Any case, just food for thought. I hope you guys like this tonight. I haven't covered these techniques, and I don't know if there's any veterans on this, so let's see if there's any veterans from last year. I know we had a couple on last one. I know Lana's been around for a while. Hi, Lana, how you doing? Liz has been around for a while. Peter's been around for a while. Let's see. If you want to talk to other people who've done these, let me know. However, I would just try them. I mean, let's face it, a bulletin is a cost of paper. That's it, and a little bit of time, all right? Let me reduce my attendee panel real quick. Hang on one second. Let me check for more questions before I go. Let's see. I think we were caught up on questions. Okay, let's look at next week. So next week is going to be on the 17th. That's Thursday. And I will be in Redlands, California. I'll be teaching in Santa Monica that day and driving out to Redlands, which is kind of near the mountains and very close to San Bernardino, where they had, unfortunately, had that terrorist episode back in December. In any case, I'll be out there, so it'll be 4 o'clock my time, and it'll be 7 o'clock Eastern. And for those in Arizona, that'll be 5. And those in parts of Tennessee and Indiana, that'll be 6 o'clock. So in any case, and tomorrow, and again, next week, we're going to go over how do you use Postlets and Craigslist. Awesome way to get buyers. Also, you could potentially get listings from it too. So in any case, thanks guys for participating tonight. I really appreciate you being on board and taking the action that you guys are taking. Some of you are really going out there and going gung-ho, and that's great to see, because nothing happens until you put it into play. In other words, the learning is only going to get you so far. Rolling up your sleeves and taking action, that's where you're going to get the results. That's why I always tell people, it's education plus information plus action is what gets you results. So take action, guys. Make me proud, make me happy. And by all means, when you're ready for your next strategy call, please let me know, and we'll get you online and get you set up for your next marketing campaign. But God bless you, and good luck for this next week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, bye-bye.